Okay, so this is the AO3 of eyewitness testimony. So evaluating what the research has found, whether it's good, bad, what has that led on to. By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to apply the knowledge, evaluate the usage of leading questions, and also evaluate the famous Loftus and Palmer car crash study. Okay, the first one is the real-life applications. There is no doubting that what Loftus and Palmer and people found in the kind of 80s and 90s has led on to a huge change in worldwide conducting of kind of interviews after crimes. So the research has led to important practical uses for police officers' investigations. This is important because the consequences of inaccurate eyewitness testimony can be very serious, and you may know, it wouldn't take you long on the internet to look up people that have been put away for years and years and years based on an eyewitness testimony that was then found out to be false. And it's very unfortunate when those things happen, but they really did. Maybe not as much now, but 20, 30 years ago, the eyewitness was seen as the most important part of the investigation. If an eyewitness said yes, 100% it was him, then that was it. Case closed a lot of the times. Whereas now we're learning that eyewitness testimony is so flawed, and we can make so many mistakes that they've had to change the way the police deal with these things. Loftus 1975 claimed that leading questions can have such an influence on memory that police need to be careful how they phrase their questions when interviewing, and that's led to the cognitive interviewing, the idea that report everything. The interviewer just says, tell me everything. They're not asking a leading question, they're letting the person pour out everything they can remember, and then they'll go back in and ask direct questions using the eyewitness testimony's language. So there's no leading questions. One of the problems with it, that some of the tasks are seen as artificial now. Loftus and Palmer, they're watching a video. Okay, a video of a car crash is not a real crash, therefore it lacks ecological validity. It's artificial. We can't guarantee that that's going to be the same in real life. Okay, because of arousal and things like that, which a high level of arousal might make us concentrate more. Really low level, we're just not that bothered, and we might have missed. We might have been looking at our phone whilst we were meant to be watching this video. Julian Kutzel, 1986, found that witnesses of a traumatic, real armed robbery had very accurate recall. So this is an opposite to what Loftus and Palmer found, that actually, real life, really traumatic armed robbery, I think this one was in a bank, their recall was fantastic even after 4 months. So saying that maybe Loftus and Palmer, because of the artificial and the lacking of ecological validity, is a negative. This shows that the artificial tasks tell us little about leading questions and their effect on eyewitness crimes. Individual differences. When you see that, we're talking about differences between ages, gender, arousal, all of these things that could have an effect. Anastasia and Rose, 2006, found that older people were less accurate than younger people at when giving eyewitness testimony. This younger does have a cut-off. It's not like 4-year-olds aren't better than 50-year-olds, but late teenagers up to kind of late 30s, I think, are much better than those kind of 50, 60, 70, 80-year-olds. Right? They also found that all age groups are more accurate when identifying people of their own age, and that's quite interesting as well. That basically a 50-year-old would be a lot better at identifying a fellow 50-year-old, and you guys would be much better at identifying a fellow 17, 18-year-old, because you know what to look for. You can see subtle differences that maybe older people can't, and vice versa. Studies often use younger people as the target to identify. Some age groups may seem less accurate than not. So if the study is always using young faces and asking people from all across the spectrum to identify them, then there's a problem with individual differences. Demand characteristics. Participants usually want to be helpful and pay attention, so when they're asked a question, they don't know the answer, they might try to answer or just lie and give an answer. Demand characteristics exist. You'll get the hang of them all throughout this year and next year, but we're saying that they probably exist in this experiment. If someone says to you, how fast are the cars going, and they smashed, even if you think, oh, it was quite low, but they've just asked me smashed, you might show a demand characteristic and say higher than you thought just to fit in with the experiment. This challenges the validity of eyewitness research as may not reflect the truth behind the true memory. That makes sense. Validity. Foster 1994 argues that what you remember as eyewitness can have important consequences to the real world, but not in research. So this is arguing again that in research we might lie, demand characteristics, we don't really, we're not too bothered. Whereas real eyewitnesses generally have to search their memories as the situation is real and far more severe. Okay? Eyewitness accuracy therefore is greater in the real world when the event is real. So it's just arguing that the validity of experiments done in labs is reduced because of this idea that it's not real life. Next lesson, anxiety.